Data centers are the biggest purchasers of renewables, at least in North America they are. So solar and wind as options, battery storage, they're really at the forefront on renewable energy sources.
Hello and welcome to Perspectives with Nilo, a regular podcast bringing you news and views from around the world. I'm your host, Neil O'Sullivan. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, you might also like to explore our more than 40 past episodes on topics ranging from technology to sport and politics. You could find them at pwnilo.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to leave a like or subscribe if you enjoy our content. In this episode, we report from this year's Open Compute Global Summit in San Jose, California. The Open Compute Project, or OCP, was initiated in 2011, and its mission is to apply the benefits of open source and open collaboration to data center technology and to support the growing demands on compute infrastructure. This year, the conference theme was From Ideas to Impact, and over 7,000 people attended. And we went along to find out more. Rob Coyle is the Director of Technical Programs at the Open Compute Project Foundation. I spoke to him about the Open Compute Global Summit and OCP's mission, as well as some of the recent innovations and announcements at this year's summit. But first, we talked about the increasing power demand of data centers and some of the reasons behind it. So Rob, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We constantly hear a lot in the news about the increased power consumption of data centers. Why is that? Why is power continuing to go up for data centers?
Yeah, in general, we have more use of data centers. So more and more people are using digital resources. So the trend has always been increasing. Very recently, we've moved into tools like AI that have used things like GPUs, and the amount of energy that those hardware use is much higher than traditional compute. So that's why you're starting to hear about it more today.
Are we likely to see any tapering off in the future, or is this going to be continued growth for a while?
Well, right now it looks like continued growth.
Are data center operators proactive in trying to reduce this power? What kind of things do you see them doing to tackle this?
Yeah, the efficiency of compute is a big part. So we talked about it is increasing, but the amount of compute you're getting per watt is actually improving. So while data centers are growing and more energy is being consumed, things like moving from CPUs to GPUs actually get you a much higher efficiency of compute. The other thing that's a major shift is moving from air cooling to liquid cooling, where you're reducing a lot of wasted energy on cooling things that produce heat, where you can use new technologies to really optimize the amount of energy that goes into a data center, goes towards compute and not towards other things like air conditioners and things like that.
And of course, these data center technologies are being rolled out worldwide. So this increase in power consumption isn't regional, right? Is it more prevalent in some places rather than others?
Yeah, I think there's varying conditions. One being where are most of the data centers being built. We have many of them here in North America, but then you also have areas that have less or more available power. So if you're in a place like Ireland or if you're in a place in Southeast Asia, the power conditions in those areas are different, so you might see the impact a little differently.
So in terms of the demand from the grid, are there particular things data center operators are doing to kind of offload their demand from the grid but still be able to grow in the meantime?
Yeah, and they have for a very long time. Data centers are the biggest purchasers of renewables, at least in North America they are. So solar and wind as options, battery storage, they're really at the forefront on renewable energy sources. The other thing, as I talked in the cooling shift, in a traditional data center that's air-cooled, 30, maybe 40% of the energy is going just for the HVAC system, and by reducing that energy and dedicating it to compute, we're really improving the efficiency in the data center space.
So with all this extra energy going into compute, is there a return on that for the average person in the street? I mean, can they expect, new apps or new benefits for society based on these increased investments and increased power consumption?
Yeah, I think we've seen some of them over recently. Going into COVID, being able to do Zoom calls, those are something that are really direct to your average person. But we're seeing technological shifts that are far greater, advancements in medical, drug research, cancer research, things like that those are all things that leverage data centers and the new compute that we have.
Let's talk a little bit about the Open Compute Conference then, and what goes on here. What's kind of the purpose of the whole event for people who attend?
Yeah, for here, we're at the Open Compute Project Global Conference. So it truly is global. We have people coming from all over the world, all layers of infrastructure, vendors, end users, partners, they're all here. And really what it is it's an opportunity for a community to come together. The participants in the Open Compute Project meet every day throughout the year online on Zoom calls focused on certain technology challenges. This is their globally one time a year to come together and share the work that they've been working on and share their vision of the future.
And how long has it been going?
We're 13 years as the Open Compute Project. We've grown significantly. The global conference has been here in San Jose, California for quite a few years, probably 7 or 8 years now.
And it's member-based, right? How many members do you have roughly?
Yeah, so our corporate membership is how we're structured. So if a company is a member of the Open Compute Project, we have over 400 member companies, but that includes all their employees. So an account of how many people that are working in things is in the thousands of people who participate in OCP.
Your CEO, George Chaparian, gave the opening keynote here in San Jose earlier in the week. He talked about the topic that's maybe on many people's mind, and that is AI. How's the open compute community been participating in AI development?
Yeah, it's been a big boom to the activities that have been going around in the Open Compute Project. We have a really long history of making massive, innovative advancements in traditional compute. We're really looking at that playbook and adapting to doing it in AI at a much faster rate with new technologies around cooling, GPUs, and things like that. Specifically, we have an AI strategic initiative that's looking at the things that already exist in compute that need to be changed or added for AI to enable those workloads. And so that's an ongoing work at all layers of our projects.
And one of the things that's kind of nice also to see is the sharing of technology. I saw NVIDIA in their keynote announced that they were sharing one of their latest platforms with the open compute community so that they could adapt it or modify it or basically utilize it to enhance their capabilities.
Yeah, similar to how companies have been sharing in the Open Compute Project for a long time, NVIDIA has been a participant for many years in OCP, and what they recently contributed is really the rack architecture, the tray and network architecture in 2D and 3D drawings. You can go down and download that information. They have a specification that meets the Open Rack version 3, which is our existing hardware architecture, rack architecture, and they're doing that to expand the ecosystem. Here's how we've used ORV3, here's what the changes we needed to make for AI workloads, and then that creates an ecosystem and feedback also for NVIDIA so that they can learn from our community and our community can benefit from what they've done.
And of course, the nice thing for data center customers is that when they share it like that, different OEMs can build it. So data center customers have a choice of different places to purchase it from. So as you say, it really contributes well to the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just in thought. I mean, we have open solutions, right, versus proprietary solutions, not just the ability to access the information, but an entire marketplace where people can go buy racks from multiple vendors. And those vendors have different benefits or maybe different geographies or maybe different OEMs to support certain things. You can still buy a standardized product in the market.
So, and also there's an element of course, competition between them, which means they maybe try to improve performance or improve efficiency and so on, which must be good also for both the environment and the end customer.
Yeah, I think it is. It's for the environment, the end customer. We've seen being open increase the rate of innovation quite quickly. The contribution by NVIDIA is a great example. We have an existing rack architecture. They've made modifications and changes. They didn't start from zero. They used something that already exists in the marketplace, and they can move very quickly to get their product out in the market.
So one of the collaborations that was really impressive that I saw this morning was this initiative called Green Concrete. So we have a number of large companies who put their heads together to try and, come up with a sustainable solution to concrete, providing a concrete solution. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Yeah, those member companies have goals for sustainability and net zero goals. One of those major challenges is concrete. Concrete is a very carbon-intensive material. They were all working to solutions to meet their sustainability goals independently, but they realized quickly that concrete's not a competitive advantage in the marketplace. So by sharing their goals together, they can move much faster, come to agreement. And the one thing I learned about concrete, and I was fortunate enough to be part of this discussion and part of some of the concrete testing that they did, is I didn't realize you can make concrete just about any way you want, but unless multiple people are buying it, and big buyers like the biggest companies in the world, like highway and government entities are buying one type of concrete, you don't get much progress. So going it alone with your own concrete mix isn't going to be very fruitful. So they really had to come together to meet these goals.
And so I presume the effort then is helping the supply chain for concrete and helping to build that also so that it is more accessible, is it?
It is. They involved engineering firm and major suppliers here in North America to look at this. And the feedback was we can make almost any type of concrete you want. And then they did some testing to mix materials to go all the way to a concrete that has almost no carbon in it, has no carbon footprint. And then some great steps along the way to immediately reduce their carbon footprint with very minimal changes to the process and performance that they're getting right now.
And is the idea that this solution they come up with would be accessible to, let's say, people not just building data centers, but building any other type of infrastructure that uses concrete as well in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. In the immediate, as I said, if you don't have a mass adoption of a material like this, you're not going to get much change. So the benefit is not only for the 4 or so major data center companies that participated in this mind share for concrete, they'll benefit, but then other data center companies that are not work for them, are colos, many other data center companies out there can use that same concrete along with any industry that leverages concrete. As long as it meets the performance requirements, if you're building a building or a road or something like that, they'll also benefit from that.
Okay, that's a really, I think, hopeful and inspiring initiative.
Yeah, I think so too, but I also didn't think that as a data center person I'd learned so much about concrete, and it seemed pretty clear to me that I think it'll happen.
Open Compute, this is the global summit here in San Jose, California, as you mentioned, but there are regional summits as well, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, there are. We have EMEA Summit and APAC Summit as well.
So the EMEA Summit is coming up next year in Dublin, Ireland. What can people expect there?
Yeah, OCP is coming to Dublin April 29th and 30th. And where the Global Summit has massive participation and is really a global perspective on all technology, at our EMEA Summit we really look at challenges and solutions focused on the European market. So the content is really brought to us by our EMEA participants. So they're working on solutions like heat reuse and energy that really matches the needs and sustainability, most critically, in the European market. So it's specific, it's tailored to the European market. But you'll see much of the innovation and the participants here come to Europe, but also a focused work on the tasks most important in EMEA.
And so if people want to find out more about this, I know you have a regular podcast also. Can you tell us about maybe the website and how to find your podcast if people want to follow along on these open compute topics from time to time?
Yeah, thanks for the plug. So we go to opencompute.org. That's where all the information on all our projects. You do not have to be a member. If you want to learn about the contribution from NVIDIA, you want to learn about even the presentations we've had here at Global Summit, they are free. You can go to the website and find them there on the events page. While you're in the events page, you can see information on the EMEA Summit. And then if you have some extra time and you want to listen to our podcast, in the upper right-hand corner there is a green button that says podcast. Click on that and give us a listen.
That's Rob Coyle, who is the Director of Technical Programs at the Open Compute Project Foundation. OCP believes that sharing ideas and specifications for servers, networking, AI, and general data center technology is the key to driving innovation and reducing complexity. Among the very interesting topics and announcements at the OCP Summit this year were the Open Systems for AI Strategic Initiative, Zero Trust Security, Sustainability, the opening of the Open Chiplet Economy in the OCP Marketplace, and a joint announcement by Intel and AMD on the establishment of an x86 ecosystem advisory group. And you can find out more about all of these initiatives at opencompute.org, as Rob mentioned, and we've also placed a link in the Dive Deeper section of our blog. I also spoke with Andy Gill, who is the Vice President of Hyperscale for Rittal, a German manufacturer of electrical enclosures for use in data center and other industrial applications. I asked him about the products his company produces, as well as how recent advances in AI technology are resulting in higher power silicon chips.
Yeah, sure. So the main driver for it recently is the acceleration of AI. So from a user point of view and a consumer point of view, we're consuming a lot more data, whether it's for medical applications or it's for education or for predicting the weathers. So AI applications is driving a lot of that usage from a user point of view. But the actual power is due to the silicon. So a lot of the silicon providers, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, are increasing the power consumption at the silicon from what was maybe 200, 250 watts per chip, upwards of 700 and 1,000 watts per chip and beyond. So that's what's really driving a lot of the power consumption in the industry right now.
And we also hear about these large models or large language models. So I guess if the bigger the language model or the AI problem you're trying to solve, then the more chips you need, which drives up the power as well.
Yeah, it increases a lot of not only the amount of chips but the density, because for the large language models the silicon needs to be much closer together while it's learning the languages. And that means the density of a footprint at the rack level, for example, is much more significant than it used to be, and will continue to grow.
And is this kind of increase in power, is it like confined to hyperscalers or the big operators, or is it kind of going to affect all data center operators as time goes on?
At the moment, it's the hyperscalers, of course, who are at the forefront of all of this and driving all of the AI models. But ultimately, some of it will drop down through the industry, and it's bound to go through the enterprise and at a more local level. But at the moment, the driver behind all this adoption is certainly the hyperscalers.
And we're here at Open Compute in San Jose, which is a kind of a tech conference on data center technology. And I guess one of the questions that I'd like to ask about that is, if the power is going up, obviously that costs a lot of money to pay the monthly electricity bill. What kind of efficiencies are these data center operators and the equipment providers, what kind of efficiencies are they trying to drive to, cut down on the cost of it, and also, save the environment where they can?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the balance that everyone's trying to strike at the moment is of course, the targets for some of the net zero targets that people have around the world and individual companies have announced. But the balance of that, of course, is we've got power going up dramatically, which typically goes against those type of targets. However, there's a lot of work going on within the OCP community at the moment, whether or not it's for efficiency of power systems and particularly cooling. I mean, cooling is, this year's 2024 summit is really a hot topic, so to speak, and it has been for the last couple of years, but it really appears to be accelerating right now.
So cooling these high-powered devices is quite challenging. And your company, I see you have very kind of impressive racks and deployment, I guess, vehicles for that technology. Tell us a little bit about what you do or what your company does in that kind of area.
Yeah, sure. So within the OCP community in particular, I mean, Rittal is a German company that provides a lot of solutions around IT solutions in particular. So we develop a lot of the OCP racks, and from an engineering point of view and a delivery point of view, but we do more than that. We supply complete systems, so everything from a 30 kilowatt to a maybe 2 megawatt cooling unit. So what we're showing, the innovations on this particular show, is really around our latest 1 megawatt cooling solution, where you can deploy that 1 megawatt footprint within one rack alone, which will allow you to cool, 10 racks at 100 kilowatts each and beyond if needed.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. And the rate of increase and the rate of technological advancement here has been pretty rapid over the past few years, right?
It certainly has. I mean, particularly, as you said earlier, on AI in particular, and that's what's really driving it. It's almost exponential in terms of the power on the chip, the silicon side, which is a direct knock-on effect to some problem solving some of the power solutions out there, and the cooling. And that's in the cooling market as a whole is growing dramatically right now to try to help to solve these problems. So with that, of course, the OCP community is particularly good at solving problems. It brings the best people together. During this event, there's 300 plus technical workshops, all geared around solving a lot of these problems and sharing information.
I saw one of your people gave a presentation earlier with, was it a Meta employee, on how you've been developing the rack technology and deploying it in some use cases. Very good collaboration between end users and equipment providers, and indeed between equipment providers and designers as well.
No, absolutely. I mean, this whole OCP community is around partnering and collaborating. So, with a view that the more people that collaborate, the faster we can solve the problems that are out there today. So yeah, we certainly collaborate a lot with the community on developing and co-developing rack solutions, cooling solutions, and other areas of the business. So, OCP has been leading that now for 10 years.
And you mentioned earlier, the benefits of this AI technology, maybe in climate, in maybe solving health or medical issues. I mean, there are benefits to the human race to doing this as well.
So yeah, I mean, multiple benefits. Medical's an obvious one, where AI solutions can look at CT scans or other types of scans, can detect medical problems in a way that maybe the human eye can't detect, and also making it much more repeatable. There'll be other areas such as climate change and helping to solve the challenges that we have around climate change around the world in predicting weather patterns, and a whole host of other things to humankind.
I think it's just starting, is what we're hearing. This AI revolution is just starting.
It's just the beginning, absolutely. And what we've seen in the last 1 or 2 years is just, we're all starting to use, whether it's ChatGPT or other language learning tools. It's just at the very, very beginning, and it will just continue to accelerate.
And for maybe listeners in Europe and the general area, the EMEA OCP Summit is coming up in April in Dublin. What can people expect there if they want to go along?
So yeah, in Dublin this year, we did one in Lisbon this year. Dublin will be coming up in a few months' time. It's a similar theme, similar version to the US, maybe scaled down a little bit. But the EMEA side is growing substantially over the last few years, and similar topics, solving a lot of the problems of the industry right now in EMEA, and it gives certainly a lot of the EMEA companies and who are local to the region the ability to come and take part in an OCP event.
Well, Andy, we look forward to seeing you at OCP in Dublin, and thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much. Look forward to it.
That's Andy Gill, who is Vice President of Hyperscale for Rittal. My thanks to both Andy Gill and Rob Coyle for taking the time to share their insights with us on Perspectives with Nilo. As both Andy and Rob mentioned, the OCP EMEA Summit will take place in Dublin on April 29th and 30th of 2025. And if you'd like to find out more about that and OCP in general, feel free to check out the Dive Deeper section of our blog site at pwnilo.com. In our next episode, we'll discuss hydrogen-powered data centers and their role in the drive to net zero sustainability. So if you don't want to miss out, be sure to subscribe and follow us on our social media pages, which are all linked on our blog site at pwnilo.com. But that's where we leave it for the moment. As always, thank you for listening. And until the next time, bye for now.